Okay, you should be getting a message that we're now live streaming. Okay, great.
On it.
And I will just wait for the others. I believe they also record this meeting, so I'm going to start that too. They make sure that everything is taken care of. So if anybody ever, and she also likes to close captions, so I'm going to save that too. That way, if we ever any legal situations come up, we are covered on all bases.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hopefully I won't be saying anything controversial.
Most of the time, everything is fine. Every now and then we get 50 people who are upset about something or another, but for the most part, it's all good. So do you also work with Will Wright?
I do, yeah. We've known each other a long time. Yeah, he's at AILA. So ACLA and AILA are sibling organizations.
I see.
We share membership, we share executive leadership, we share eventually the physical space that we're moving into. I'm an AIA member, so we are essentially one and the same. But yeah, Will is an incredible political outreach person. How do you know Will?
Well, that's how I know him. I'm also on CFAC, which is a Community Forest Advisory Committee. Mm-hmm. And during the legislative days, he invited CFAC members. Isabel Duvier, she's a member. I was lucky enough to participate this year or a few months ago to talk about trees and the importance of trees and architects developing around trees and making that part of their plan. So I was able to meet him then, and he was a great guy. So.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. And he puts together these legislative days, invites the AIA and other allied organizations to meet all the movers and shakers at City Hall. And it's super, and I just think it's a great connecting moment.
It was great. I mean, our council member for CD10 was there, Heather Hutt. Yeah. And she brought her senior planning deputy. Mm-hmm. And that was great. And then also Osama Yungen with DBS, Building and Safety. He came in with some of his staff, and
nice.
Having access and understanding how those organizations work is so great.
Yeah, so I've been to several of them and sat through some of the presentations. And yes, the one on trees was, super inspiring. And I hope that that's a project that's going to continue with the new leadership. So,
I hope so too. I mean, in this part of town, we are just bereft of trees, large trees. And even though the city forest officer and UFD are planting more and more trees, they're young trees. So we're advocating to preserve the canopy, the larger trees and the canopy we do have here.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, parts of town, and we can guess which ones are real shade deserts. Yes. and not having access to shade and, bus stops and shelters and schools. And it's a very much a quality of life issue, no questions.
Yeah. I was able to, I'm also the UFD liaison for the neighborhood council, and I invited the city forest officer to come in. And the first thing she said was that you wouldn't think trees were such a complicated issue, but they are. And you just mentioning bus stops. Mm-hmm. Well, you think, oh my gosh, it makes sense. Yeah, let's have a tree near a bus stop, but it has to be so many feet from the curb, and the buses have to be able to get past without breaking branches.
Right.
So they're just.
Yeah, no, it does maintain, and then they lift up the sidewalks. In fact, I think in the LA Times yesterday, I saw there was a group
Beverly Hills
protesting. Exactly, Beverly Hills. I think they're ficus trees that can be very disruptive to infrastructure, no question. So, they have to be maintained, and you also have to have the right tree. And I'm not sure.
And that's another controversy. Should we be planting native trees, or should we be planting trees that will withstand the climate change we're going to have in 50 years?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Many people, I think, would say, well, the trees that are here have evolved over thousands or millions of years. So they're used to the fluctuations, the long-term fluctuations of heat and drought. So let's continue to plant native, and then there are others who disagree. So
Yeah. No, it's very complicated. I think and having a horticulturist and somebody who can really speak to it, I think is critical for cities and municipalities. Yeah.
So are you a residential or commercial architect?
Both.
Oh,
yeah. So I am a licensed architect here in Los Angeles. We live in Echo Park, so we've done a lot of residential work. We just finished the renovation of the Los Angeles Mission, which is a homeless shelter downtown.
downtown,
So
yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
I know. Then that was a renovation. It was an amazing project. We just did a large artist studio in Frogtown, Atwater Village. We just finished an ADU in Silver Lake. We're doing a couple more. We're doing some work in Orange County. We're just starting a affordable housing. It's a prefab. A 10-unit project in South LA. So we're architects.
And where's that? What's the location of that? The prefab?
We literally are just starting it.
Oh, okay.
So just had our first meeting the other day. It's at 1415 West 65th Place.
Oh, so that's deep in South LA.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So, well, geographically, in the
everything south of
the 10.
Chavez.
Well, I think some people say, south of the 10, which is really kind of mid-city, but then they're like, well, it's south of the 10, so it's South LA. So I'm always like, well, what part of South LA are you?
So we're literally having our second meeting tomorrow, so we'll see about it. So kind of excited about it.
Hey there, John.
Hi, John.
Why can't I hear anything?
Now, can you hear us?
There we go. Hey.
Here. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm honored.
Yeah, I think this should be easy for you, I hope.
I think so. Yeah, I just
Good news.
I added a few more images to when I presented to the board.
Great.
It was mostly text, but every slide now has a pretty picture on it. So hopefully it'll entertain. If people start falling asleep, they can just look at the images.
So you gotta train me on how to pronounce your name. Is it Ingalil?
Ingalil Walrus Ritter. Yeah. Hi, Tracy. Nice to see you.
Hey, Tracy.
Hi, nice to see you and John 2 nights in a row, I think.
Not too nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we
online.
Yeah, we had a
Yes.
government outreach meeting last night. Yeah.
Yeah. Virtual meetings galore.
There you go. I know. I just came out of another virtual meeting too. So I feel like we're now doubling up. We have the in-person meetings and the virtual meetings, and it's like double load. I like the Pleiades above your head, Tracy, the 7.
Yeah.
The 7 sisters light pictures. Yeah.
A little larger than life size.
Yes. You're in the constellation. It's
Yes.
great.
So we do record these meetings. So we usually have.
I think the recording's already on.
Yeah, I think we usually have 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 people, but we do put it on YouTube. So hopefully we can encourage people to, if they want to learn more, if they aren't here tonight, they can do so.
Okay.
Hi, Laura.
I'm staying off video because, well, not well. Just not well.
Sorry to hear that.
Comfortable, however. Too comfortable to be on video. Hi, John.
Hey. Oh, Laura, these are 2 representatives from AIALA, Ingalil and Tracy.
So I have spoken with both Dolores and Chris, who both said they will be here. I
Great.
see.
Get prepped here, get the agenda up.
And I think Pooja is also planning to be here, so.
Oh, good. Yeah, we usually start around 7:05, 7:03, 7:04, somewhere in
Okay.
there, as people trickle in.
How big is your committee? Oh, sorry.
What was that?
How big is your committee?
Well, our standing rules are that anyone who shows up who's a stakeholder is on the committee and is a voting member. So you have to state your stakeholdership and if you're going to be participating in voting. Otherwise, we're an open meeting. Everyone can participate. So and you'll see that in action in about 3 minutes.
And I've given Inga sharing capability. She's already tested it, so she'll be ready for her presentation.
So, hey, Pooja.
Hi, John. Hi,
Oh.
Angela. Hi, Tracy.
Well, so far you're equal numbers to us. Actually, AIALA board has a quorum here.
I think that's our secret strategy to infiltrate all of the neighborhood councils. So
We could vote on something right now that would be totally beneficial. Actually, we can't because I only put discussion on your item. So otherwise.
Well, I'm actually a little surprised that we don't have more people here.
Yeah.
As
This is
that
like the-
oil drilling item
Yeah,
usually.
this is-
No.
it's like the lowest turnout we've had in 6 months.
Oh,
We usually have about 9-10 people.
well. Well. Excuse me, I'm gonna keep coughing. You tested negative. Everyone tells me it means nothing.
Do you guys have a date yet to set up at the farmer's market?
yes, it's in my slideshow. So I
Okay,
have
okay.
written it. I think it's the 26th of February.
Spoiler alert.
I don't want to give it away. But yes, it's a Sunday. I think it's the 26th.
Great.
Wellington Market.
Well, I'm going to give it till 7:04 and then I'm going to start. And this usually takes us 2 minutes to go through the housekeeping stuff. So hopefully more people will show up. Okay, boy. Sorry, guys. This is kind of embarrassing. Where's everybody? Okay, I'm going to start the meeting. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the UNNC Planning and Zoning Committee for Wednesday, February 15th. Welcome to everybody. This might be the last time we need to do this, or you'll tell us if that's true. That we, starting with item number 1, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see our lovely agenda. Item number 1 is determination to continue to hold meetings virtually. We'll have a round of applause when this COVID comes to an end on March 1st. Kind of, sort of, the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, Bonk, and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, with guidance from the City of Los Angeles City Attorney, have established that Bonk has the authority to adopt AB 361 findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, etc., on behalf of the city's neighborhood councils, and to determine that due to the COVID-19 state of emergency, meeting in person will present imminent risks to the health and safety of attendees. This meeting is conducted virtually pursuant to that directive. So, welcome. So also welcome to the meeting. So this the way this committee is arranged is that anyone who attends can participate in the meeting, of course, and anyone who wants to participate in voting has to declare their position as a stakeholder in the UNNC area. If you need any reminders of what a stakeholder is, please let me know. So, so we usually go around the room and introduce ourselves and our intent to participate in voting. So my name is John Arnold. I am a resident of Jefferson Park in the UNNC region. I'm also a board member on the UNNC board, and I am a stakeholder, and I will be participating in voting. Laura.
Yes, I'm Laura Myers. I live in Angeles Vista. This is actually, this week is I'm not that old, but apparently it's my 40th anniversary.
What? 40th? Did you say 40?
Me, but me in this house. Not even me in the neighborhood, but me in this house. And so I certainly am a stakeholder, and I am with John a co-chair of this committee, and I serve on the UNNC board.
Teresa.
Thank you, John. My name is Teresa Masonette. I represent the West Adams Avenues on the board of the UNNC, and I am a stakeholder.
Donna.
Hi, Donna Jones from West Adams Avenues, and I am a stakeholder.
Great, thank you. And then we have 3 representatives from AIA LA who will be presenting on item number 4. Engelil.
Yes, Ingalil Walrus Ritter, and I live in Echo Park, so that I guess disqualifies me from voting.
Pooja.
I am Pooja Bhagat. I'm on the AIA LA board, ACLA board, but I'm also, I actually chair the land use committee for the Del Rey Neighborhood Council. I am not a stakeholder in UNNC, so I will not be voting.
Okay, and thank you. And Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Stone, and I have my camera off because my camera is going wonky and I'm currently Technicolor. And I am a resident of Elysian Valley and also on the board of ACLA as the Director of Political Outreach. And I'm delighted to be here tonight, and I will not be voting because I'm not a stakeholder either.
Okay. Thanks. So moving on, before you see the agenda, we have a few items. First, a presentation from AIA LA. Then Laura will review the comings and goings of returning to in-person, maybe. And then we have some follow-up items from previous cases, some of them that are important to this neighborhood. So moving on, we go to item number 3, general public comments. Does anyone have any comments on anything that is not agendized on the meeting today?
I do, John.
Laura, please.
So I went to the planning commission hearing last week, and the CIM project at Western and 24th, or actually 2211 Southwestern, was approved, and everyone was, I guess, sympathetic to the idea of putting in the stoplight, but the commission decided not to vote to require it because they said that CIM needed to go to the Department of Transportation. And I kind of feel that they can put it in without anybody okaying it if they just give the money. But the end result at CPC was that there was a great deal of general approval and sympathy for having it, but not, they wouldn't put it in as a condition.
Okay, so
And that's a stoplight at Western and 24th.
okay, I know we can't talk about it necessarily unless we go to put it into follow-up cases. So in your estimation, because it's not required, does that obviously that diminishes the chances of it happening, or what's your without getting too editorial?
You know, I'm very bad with crystal balls. I don't like to make predictions because it's been really, really wrong with some of the very big ones, which we can talk about offline.
Okay, great. Okay, any other general public comments? Okay. Okay, hearing none, let's move on to item number 4. So this is a presentation by the AIA LA chapter. I'll just tee you up. AIA is the premier organization for architects in the United States. It's been around for a long, long time. Anyone know the date? 18 something? Something? We're all bad board members. We don't know this, but it's 18 something for sure. And we have one of the biggest chapters. I think we have the second biggest chapter in the country. And AIA has chosen to move to West Adams, onto Adams Boulevard, into what has a sign over the Morris Memorial Building at the corner of Victoria and Adams. So we're honored I'm honored that they're moving to our neighborhood. I think it's a good move. And I'm not going to try to steal any thunder from the presenters because they might be saying all the same stuff. So the intent here is to introduce them, let them know everything I wrote in the agenda, and then take any questions. And then I think there might be a presentation at the governing board. So Ingalil, please take it away.
Thank you. 1857 was when the AIA was established. So
You knew that, right? You
I
didn't
did not. I had to look it up. I've only been involved with the AIA for 20 something years. So can everybody see that?
Yes.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, so thank you so much for inviting us today to present to you. So I'm representing the Architecture for Communities Los Angeles, ACLA, which is the sibling organization to the American Institute of Architects Los Angeles chapter. So I will explain our relationship to each other. My name is Ingalil Walrus-Witter. I'm the president of ACLA. I'm joined tonight by Pooja Bhagat, who is our treasurer for the ACLA, and Tracy Stone, our director of political outreach. All of us are members of AIA, and we want to thank you, and especially John Arnold, for inviting us, and also Laura as co-chair of the Planning and Zoning Committee. And thank you, Teresa, for your help with the technology. So Architecture for Communities Los Angeles, we are a nonprofit organization launched by the Los Angeles chapter of the AIA 3 years ago. So it's a brand new organization. Our focus is education and community outreach. Just a second, sorry. There's a blockage here, there we go. So we were formed to support the efforts of our schools, institutions, and our practitioners to inspire, educate, and engage a wider spectrum of society in the design of our built environment. So as I mentioned, ACLA is an offshoot of AIA-LA. We are the 501c3. We are the public charity arm of the AIA. AIA Los Angeles is really the voice of architects in Los Angeles. The organization is inward focused to represent and provide resources for the architects of Los Angeles. ACLA is intended to be outward facing. The membership is shared between ACLA and AIA. We have 4,300 members, and we're one of the 3 largest chapters in the United States. And our membership includes not just architects, but also design professionals, students, individuals in allied fields, facilitating services for the built environment. Our goal of ACLA is to communicate the value of design to everyone, including future generations, and invite the community to participate with us in making our neighborhoods better. So our mission is to inspire people to value architecture, empowering everyone to create a better Los Angeles, one student, one building, and one community at a time. Our vision, where we're headed, is to be at the forefront of architecture education and community building, advocating for good design created by and for all people of Los Angeles. I believe we're one of the first chapters in the United States that's focused on both, that has an arm like ours, ACLA, that's focused on education and community outreach. So our values are these, that we believe that design impacts the lives of our residents, and that residents educated about design improve everyone's lives. So our goal is to empower all voices as partners to continue to thrive as a society that serves and benefits all. We believe that designers are powerful advocates to accomplish these aspirational goals, and these are our values. We believe that thoughtful design will inspire and empower people within their local communities. We believe that every student should have access to design education and understand the power of design. We believe in connecting the general public and the design community. We believe that connecting them helps solve some of the most pressing issues of our city. We believe that designers are a critical part of our local economy, that a diverse design community is more reflective and accountable. We believe in the preservation and progression of our city's unique design legacy, and ultimately in the power of architecture to advance environmental justice. So what do? We essentially have three main projects. The first is to inspire. It's a K through 12 to really, as I mentioned before, we want every K through 12 student to have as part of their educational experience to learn about the value of design and engaging in community design. Number two is to educate students who are currently in architecture programs and mentor more students along the pathways into professional careers in the built environment. And finally, and this is, I think, where you come in, is to engage communities. So these are our wonderful board of directors. As I mentioned, I'm the president, and Pooja is treasurer, and Tracy is our director of political outreach. And we have a number of other members who represent different projects that our committee or that our organization undertakes. So let's start with number one, the K-12 program. The goal here is to inspire K-12 students and their families to learn about architecture and careers in the built environment. And what we seek to do is partner with schools to create inclusive professional pipelines through educational programs. So a number of programs and projects that we have underway. One is, this is our second annual Design by Diversity block party. And in 2022, we held a block party, the Diversity Day. You see some photographs from that honored the trailblazing architect Paul Revere Williams. This year, we're honoring the architecture pioneer Norma Merrick Sklarek. She was the first Black African-American licensed architect in both New York and California. She was an incredible designer. She was on the team that designed the Los Angeles the theme restaurant, Pacific Design Center, and also the airport tower in Los Angeles. Another program that we are undertaking is launching a Sustainable Design Charrette Day. This is starting this year, working with the LAUSD. One of our board members works at the LAUSD, so we now have a wonderful connection to the large school district. And the third is really outreach to elementary, middle, and high schools. And this takes the career days, workshops, and other educational programs. So we have a number of subcommittees that are part of our K-12 outreach. We have an academic outreach K-12 committee. We are just now launching a K-12 committee that's going to help us with these programs. And we have a subcommittee, then the Design by Diversity subcommittee. The second big project is the Higher Education Future Professionals programs. And the goal here is to host higher education activities that create new and simplify existing pathways. And this is one of our signature projects. This is the 2x8, and you can see here we're celebrating 20 years of hosting student exhibitions where we invite students from all the higher education schools here in Los Angeles, scholarships, exhibition, and other activities that are part of this really wonderful program that we have. So the programs include the 2x8 annual scholarship. This year, we're going to have 19 schools participating. These are community colleges and universities, all of whom have programs of architecture programs. We also host an annual academic summit where we invite students, faculty, deans, and the board members from both AIA LA chapter and ACLA then to participate with the academic milieu here in Los Angeles and discuss education. And number three is portfolio reviews and mentorship programs. So these are just a few of the programs in this category, the higher education project. And we also have some subcommittees, the 2x8 subcommittee. This is one of the projects from one of our 2x8 exhibitions. And then, of course, the Academic Outreach Higher Education Committee. And finally, and I think this is really the one that's most germane to a partnership working with the UNNC, is our community outreach. And here our goals are to listen to communities, to learn about their histories, aspirations, and the place they call home. We seek to serve communities by providing resources to engage them in the design of their built environment, and to empower the advancement of community leaders by providing tools for community-driven decision-making. And so some of these projects, as John already mentioned, we're going to be moving to West Adams. It's our new location for the AIA, LA chapter and ACLA. And with it, we want to work with the local community on neighborhood tours to really highlight some of the wonderful architecture features of the neighborhood. Another project is we have launched last year a series of farmers market tent events. And this is really intended to have architects participate in community events, specifically farmers market, and make ourselves available to the community to answer questions, to direct community or the people in those neighborhoods, and help them to understand that they have a voice in community building. And then we also host activist at large presentations that this started last year, where we invite people who are activists in the communities to come and teach us how to do this. And we have been recording these, and we'll be making these available on our website once we launch our new website. We also hosted a mapping workshop. I am unable now to advance. And here we have a very active community engagement committee that helps organize these activities. So how do we see this potential working together with the UNNC, that we see ourselves as a resource to neighborhood councils, that we can connect architects and AIA members, not just architects, but also associates that are part of our community, to council committees as volunteers to help navigate through sustainability, development, and other urban land use and planning issues. We'd like to invite you all to our next tent event. We have an upcoming farmers market event at Wellington Farmers Market on February 26th at Washington Boulevard. It's Sunday, 9 a.m. And we would love to invite you and have you join us at our tent. And this is going to become a recurring event that we are going to be hosting at the farmers market. These are Carlo and Cerise. They are our executive director and our deputy director of both AIA Los Angeles and ACLA. So they would be the primary contacts for any sort of outreach and partnership that we would undertake with UNNC. And finally, a little bit about our new location. It's right, here's an image, a rendering by our former president of ACLA, Clay Holden. He's undertaking the renovation of this building. It's at 4450 West Adams near Crenshaw. This is the existing building. And here are some other renderings of, this is intended very much to be a community outpost where we invite community members to hold meetings here, to gather. And this is just a few of the renderings that show this is an exhibition that we envision, and then a very large garden space where there would be outdoor gatherings with the larger groups of people. And so we're very excited and eager to really invite ourselves to participate with the neighborhood councils and try to figure out ways that we can work together to strengthen each other's organizations. So I want to thank you for inviting us and open it up if there's any questions we can answer, and invite Pooja and Tracy also to help answer some questions. So
wow. Thank you, Engel. That was a great presentation. Really well spoken and well presented. And I may be biased, but I think it's really exciting. Is there any questions, comments, ideas? Laura.
Hi. So our outreach chair is Liz, having a hard time talking, Lizzie Muramato, and she is arranging for UNNC and some community partners to have a booth at the upcoming Ciclavia, maybe a double booth, 20 feet, 10 by 20 instead of 10 by 10. So if you weren't going to do that by yourself, we could include you in what we're hoping to have as a partnership.
That would be wonderful. I just came out of a CEC meeting, and in fact, we talked about Ciclavia. I think the February one is in the Valley, but this is the March.
16 on Sunday. It's going from Pico Union. They're saying Pico Union to Mid City, but it goes right through UNNC.
Yes, that would be
the Arlington
wonderful.
Heights hub. It's not exactly where you are, but it's where we are. So that's one thing. And we're also planning an Earth Day festival the following weekend, and that would be great for you to boost there too.
We would love that.
We can talk offline on all of it.
Yeah, could you pop those dates in, maybe into chat so I can?
I can.
Because we're having a board meeting next week, and I'd like to bring all of these ideas.
Now I have to figure out how to get rid of hide the captions. I've got the captions ready.
Great.
Hide captions, and we can do chat. Moving on, Teresa has written down.
Teresa.
Thank you, John. Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful presentation, and so excited about everything you shared, and also that you're going to be joining our community. As it turns out, Donna Jones and I are the co-chairs of the Recreation and Parks Committee with the Neighborhood Council, and we have a historic house. It's the South Seas House. But we also have another house that is part of the Recreation and Parks umbrella facilities that is in desperate need of repair, and we're trying to work on getting some funding. Do you have, I know there are many, John is familiar with many of them, and we have WAHA with the West Adams Heritage Association. Do you, I mean, in the Neighborhood Council, we have 4 HPOZs. So we have a lot of historic homes in this area. Is that part of what you guys are interested in too? Not just designing new homes, but
absolutely. I mentioned that we would be interested in working with, and we would love to hear if there are already tours, neighborhood tours. And that's one opportunity to start to educate people about these amazing homes, but also potentially find sponsors and donors. And I also wonder if there's some sort of funding out there especially for historical homes. A conservancy, for example, may be a good source for some funding for some of these homes as well.
Yes, that's one of the things we're working on. If you see in this picture, the home to the right is the one that was renovated about 20 years ago. Laura was part of that team, and that's the South Seas House. And the one to the left, which was also donated to the city, is the one we want to start working on.
Wonderful.
Soon.
I love that before and after shots.
Yeah. Oh no, those are those are both current photos, 2 separate houses.
No, I know, but one is renovated and the other.
Oh, and then one, oh, I see.
So this one's starting to show 20 years of 20 years ago, owned by the city in 20 years ago. So great. Thank you. And Teresa, we had a board retreat a couple of weeks ago, and I was approached directly about doing the landscape there's a courtyard next to the ACLA building, and they're picking plants, and they had something in there that you and I both wouldn't want. So they put me in touch with a landscape architect whom I know, and we're already investigating oak trees to put in the courtyard. Oh. So we're going to be putting some kind of oak, hopefully, in the courtyard, but we'll keep you updated on that. Teresa's been very active in the neighborhood about advocacy for trees and canopy and the environmental justice around that topic, which has surfaced in the past 2, 3, 4 years. So it's another arm of what we do. We've affected some change, including having it part of our own UNNC guidelines when we review projects about their approach to landscape and trees, whether on-site or off-site. So anyway, that's a little bit more of us. Donna.
Hi, just by way of intro, when I was young, I went to Virginia Road and we walked to that building. It was a bank. And we would go one day a week and take our money and place it in the bank. We had our little bank books. The teacher would take us there, where you're going. So I grew up just a little bit west and in the area, which I guess is West Adams Neighborhood Council. We're, as Teresa said, we are working with the park, the two houses and the park, Benny H. Potter, South Sea Center, and the Isidore House is, as she mentioned, what we're working with. But we're also trying to work on a program for young people in our community. And we're very interested, if you are planning on doing any outreach and encouragement and opportunities for kids to get interested in the career that you guys have chosen and areas about. We're interested in trying to get opportunities for young people to come out and hear about famous people who were architects, as you just talked about, and buildings and genres and whatever, because we have young people in the community who aren't getting enough, who are underserved. And we're extremely interested if you guys do that type of thing. And if you would like to, South Seas House is trying to get a program together for the young people in the community. So just wanted to mention that.
No, I thank you for mentioning that, because that's a passion project of mine. I'm a longstanding educator, and it's so important for us to, I believe that every student, K through 12 student, should learn something about the built environment and how they can participate and have a voice, whether they have a career in architecture or not, but to understand how city making works and how they can really participate in the sort of larger conversation of city building and making communities and neighborhoods. The National Organization of Minority Architects is another organization. I don't know if you know them at NOMA, but they are another organization that's really focused on education and outreach, primarily in South Los Angeles, but they are across the nation. But the Southern California chapter is very powerful. And so we are hoping also to work with them. But I think that would be a really powerful, triple whammy to connect with the schools. As I mentioned, one of our board members works for the LAUSD. I assume that your schools are all LAUSD schools.
I am a former LAUSD special needs teacher, but I'm talking about a park in a community where kids need that opportunity for enrichment opportunities at the park. That we have very little green space in our area, but that park is what we're trying to encourage, and more opportunities for kids to get exposure. And
nice.
It's there and available, and whoever you can point us toward, I'm not above begging, because we definitely need it. And there are a lot of teachers in this area too, but I am retired from LAUSD, and there's a lot of architects in this area too. Down the street from me, there is Ann Tate is also an architect. So
well, I showed the pictures of the Design by Diversity Day, and that really is intended. So there's firms and architects who come out, volunteer their time. They set up tables. They have activities for, elementary, middle school kids.
yes.
And I can imagine hosting a smaller version of that in West Adams, for example, and maybe inviting.
We have a great space.
Yeah. No, I think that sounds like a really amazing project. And Tracy just popped in here. That sounds like an opportunity for a grant. And but it's also, I do think that there's firms who want to give back. And the AIA, for example, the firms, the architecture firms in the area, to really ask them to participate with us and work on a project like this, I think would be transformative.
Anybody that needs to be asked, all you need to do is let me know who they are, and I'm willing to ask. Because that's the only way we'll ever get anything going. We had many programs in the past. COVID shut us down, and we're trying to build again in the area. So,
Donna, may I
Yeah.
ask a question?
Sure.
What is the name of your park?
It's Benny H. Potter,
Okay. So-
Potter, Benny H. Potter. South
you-
Seas is the house that Laura was involved in getting renovated. It's the center where we have, since we don't have brick and mortar regular buildings, we have historic homes that are our centers where we do the indoor parts of our park. And
Sure.
then we the park.
So, England mentioned NOMA, which is National Organization of Minority Architects. Last year, they had a summer program that they held at Los Angeles Harbor College. I think we may want to put you in touch with them and see if they would like to come and do a summer program or some version of that program at your park, at your rec center. So
Thank you.
that might be something to, because they already have an established and
We're
that
excited, and we have the space and they have the established program. So I'm very interested in trying to work something out, because we have to build from someplace. We're in an environment of historic homes, a rich environment, and the kids know little or nothing about it. And some of, like the Peace and Awareness Mansion on Adams, they do no tours for the young people in the neighborhood. They do no outreach. And we would love to get some support to have that opportunity for the young people in the communities of UNNC, which is 5-6 communities, to have an opportunity to participate. I'm very, very interested. Thank you.
great. John, do you have an education committee at the UNNC as well?
No, we don't.
Okay.
No.
Me and Teresa are the education.
Got it. Well, each one of them is different, because we are DRNC has an education committee, but we don't have a rec and parks committee. So it's interesting that
Yeah.
you're overlapping that rec and parks with the education committee. So do you also have relationships with the close by schools, and do you give grants to, like, we sort of at our DRNC, we actually, give a certain amount and from our budget to local schools for community workshops and things like that. Do you do that as well?
Yes, we do, Pooja. We have several schools. We fund their one of the schools has a composting, it has a garden, and we funded their composting workshop. Another school, we're funding their garden. They're putting in a new butterfly garden. We're funding that. So yes, they're not all public schools. A couple of them are charter schools, but we do fund them. So
perhaps one thing that we could go back and think about as a board is how we could come to you and you could spread the knowledge about ACLA, and maybe we could have a session where we could bring our membership to the student population for a certain age in your neighborhood, and we could sort of do a career day, if you will, just about architecture, and do it like a little charrette or something. So we
that
go
would be
back and
great.
think about that and see if we can do something on our own in addition to connecting you with NOMA.
The
Okay,
school at the corner of Arlington and Adams is an enrichment school that feeds to Laces.
Right.
And they, I'm sure, would be extremely excited to have that opportunity. They don't know that you're coming to the community, and I'm very sure that that principal would be very excited to have that happen at her school, because her kids feed, being at the school, they are automatically fed to their that high school. And it's very difficult to get into that high school. And by being at that school, a lot of people enroll there to make sure they have that opportunity. And we are all about enrichment at our park, because those opportunities, schools cut so much art, so much enrichment opportunities in the areas that they cannot cover. We'd like to have available for the kids at Benny Potter, because it's not sports park. There are no athletic fields. It is a small park. So we have to focus on other aspects. And so we can go to STEAM activities and have that opportunity for the kids to get those parts of their education in enrichment. So I won't take up any more of the time, because I will talk forever, but I'm certainly thankful for you giving me the time.
No, I'm very inspired by what you're talking about. So I popped in SoCal Noma. I think we can make the connection. This is what they do: summer camps, boot camps. And what they do is they invite students that are currently in architecture programs to actually host the middle and high school summer camps. So it's a really wonderful opportunity for everybody. I also want to mention, I started a middle school program with my local, when I was dean at Woodbury School of Architecture, with the YMCA. Is there a local YMCA?
There's not.
Okay.
Not
It would
nearby.
be in the Crenshaw area.
I was going to
further.
say Crenshaw is the closest
Yeah.
one I could think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they also have, they're bonded, they are set up also to do this kind of recreational activity, but that might be too far away. So.
And secondly, often our young people, our parents, YMCA is expensive for after and summer camp. They do often at our camps have sponsored weekly sponsored care and enrichment programs where they're taking a class for $10, or the summer camp may run either free or $10, because we're allowed to get scholarships for the year for that grouping. So it does help, because my kids, when they were going, they went to the Y and whatever, but a lot of people can't afford it, and it's kind of expensive.
So I'm gonna I could talk. We should put the whole 2 hours into this conversation. This is awesome. But Ms. Dolores Spears has joined us. I know, Laura, I see your hand up. I just want to acknowledge Dolores Spears' arrival. Hello, Dolores. Laura.
Yes, thank you. So speaking of summer camp and our community partners and everything, the 24th Street Elementary, which is where the composting workshops are that Teresa mentioned, it's actually the Garden School Foundation that's doing food giveaways and created a garden and doing the composting workshops and many other things. They have a cafeteria to compost program, but they are at 10 schools and they are headquartered at 24th Street. So that's another, kind of partner with a partner with a partner kind of thing. Now they're obviously out in the gardens, they're not designing buildings, but there may be some synergy with them. Also, 24th Street School used to have a program. A lot of this stuff got shut down by either COVID or aging population, but they used to have a teacher there who did an annual program about the architecture of the immediate neighborhood and made arrangements, usually with one particular homeowner, but sometimes with others, where the kids would also, that homeowner would go in and talk to them about historic architecture, and the following week they would get to tour his house, which is right across the street. And I think they did that with a couple of others. So that might be something that, I don't think that house would be available anymore, but might be interesting to revive. And it could be revived at more than one school. But it was all about really the architecture, the historical architecture of the neighborhood that this school was in. And then West Adams Heritage, which Teresa had also mentioned, obviously COVID is done in the tours. Hopefully they'll come back, but we did, because I'm on that board too, we did 3 or 4 tours a year, some thematic. And John, you may not know this, but Craig is trying to organize again, Craig Weber, a before and after tour, because that was very popular, where we would open up the doors to homes that were really kind of wretched when their owners bought them, and they had the before pictures, and then you would tour the after. And then we'd have out some workshops out in the road, as it were, on how to fix a window, how to do this, how to do that. So that was a tour that was pending when COVID hit, and one of our members, John too, is trying to get people to open their doors, but people are still nervous about opening the doors to their homes to hundreds of strangers. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to start again sometime soon. I'm very excited about all the potential partnerships that we could have. And I'm wondering, had AIA, UNC had owned a big warehouse, a former VWP building on 24th near Union Avenue. Was that where AIA was before, or was that just USC small sister version, if you know? Because, well, anyway, I guess you don't know.
No, the last I mean, the Western, the Wiltern,
Yeah.
that was the one location. And then the A+D Museum, which is in the Arts District,
Mhm.
SciArc. So there was some talk about moving there, but that then COVID hit.
Very exciting. I mean, I feel you're in our neighborhood. You're certainly in the western edge of as some of you will grin, the historic West Adams district, which ended at West Avenue, not the nouveau West Adams, which then goes all the way to Culver City. But again, offline, I'd be happy to talk to you guys about that. We have a lot of history. We have a lot of architects who lived here years ago, African American architects in particular, not just Paula and John G. Have you told them your news?
Once more?
Have you told them your news? Speaking of,
Yes, I announced that at the retreat. So
okay.
if you want to regurgitate.
Well, John has just bought for rescue Paul Revere Williams' own home where he lived from 1921 till about 1951. And this one is the one he famously wrote about in the 1930s, an essay where he described how he had been in a very luxurious neighborhoods, gifting out, drawings from a fabulous mansion, no doubt. But while he could afford to live there, he had the means to live there. He packed it up every night to go home to his modest home in a part of town that wasn't exactly popular. I'm saying kind of nicely because we are being recorded. But of course, it was a racially restricted covenant. So this was the only place he could live. That's the house that John just bought, the house about which he described his experience with racial covenants. Around the corner from him, James Miller Garrett lived, another Black architect. And we have several other architects who built their own homes here in West Adams. And separate from that, we also have one of the earliest Raphael Soriano houses in John's neighborhood in Jefferson Park. So, and we recently discovered, forgetting who the architect is, but just a wonderful mid-century modern built in 1954 on Fifth Avenue in Jefferson Park that was sort of so ugly it was skipped over in the way, and it's been restored. So, and anyway, so I think there's some discoveries for you to make and some partnerships for us. I was at Norma Sklaric's home, and it was really a wonderfully designed home. And if memory serves, I was there actually for her funeral, but her spirit was everywhere. I'm pretty sure that's the funeral I was there for. I was there for a funeral. Anyway, I wish he had lived here though.
So I'm gonna I love to continue this. I feel like we've been blessed by having. I wish all 99 neighborhood councils will get as much attention as we do from you. But I think we're I think by choosing West Adams, I think you knew that you were moving into a rich neighborhood. And note that, Laura, east of you is historic West Adams, west of you is the other West Adams. But so
Well,
we're in historic
the
West
west part starts at West Boulevard.
Adams, which is just like 3 blocks west of it.
Starts a little bit west. of-
Ongoing debate fueled by the LA
Whatever.
Times. So thank you so much. So I think that, you know, we're a small committee. I think it'd be really great for you to come to the governing board, which will be the first Thursday of the month. Laura, does everyone agree with that? Would be not, we're voting on anything. I think it would
Well,
be,
it'd be really great. Greg would need to agree, and
It
like
would be really great, John, and we're gonna work with Greg to make sure it's on the agenda.
right.
How about
But
that?
I'm gonna
There we
say
go.
It might need to be April rather than March, because we might be struggling in March with the new hybrid thing. That's all I was gonna say.
so we'll, Pooja, I'll be your, I can get you connected that. So it sounds like the first Thursday in April would be it. And we generally like to schedule people early. We're giving presentations, so we'll try to do the same thing that we did for you tonight. That said, thank you so much for the awesome presentation.
Thank you.
So excited, and we're looking forward to having you and having us in the neighborhood. So any other final sign-offs? We'll move on.
Well, they could stick around and hear about
Yeah.
hybrid meetings.
So-
So, you know, I do hybrid
I
teaching.
want to hear about it.
So I teach at East Los Angeles Community College, and one of my classes is a hybrid, high flex. And it's really challenging, but no,
And I
I will
think-
not be your IT person.
And thank you, Donna, for all your
Person.
Thank you for all your input, Donna. Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is going to be presented by Laura about the comings and goings of the hybrid world that we are.
Oh, I'm not going to do a big presentation, and if
No.
it needed a presentation, it'll become Teresa. But at this moment in time, on March 1st, we are scheduled. All the neighborhood councils are scheduled to go back to in-person meetings. UNNC has opted to do hybrid meetings, which is to say, at this moment in time, there's a state law that would require that a quorum of the legislative body, so in the case of the governing board, is 13 people, and in the case of committee, the quorum would be either 1 or 2, depending on if there's a single chair or 2 chairs. So the quorum of the board or of the committee will need to be in person. So for committee meetings, which this is, there's a whole brand new setup. Thank you, Teresa, James, Donna, at the South Seas House. So the committee in general will be meeting at the South Seas House. The technology Teresa can explain, because all I can say is magic. And the camera on this device follows the speaker around, and it looks like it's a person holding a camera. But we're gonna be there probably the 1st of March. It does sound like there's things happening. A state senator has introduced a motion that might exempt neighborhood councils in. Well, the problem is it would exempt appointed commissions, advisory board. That the senator thought neighborhood councils were appointed and we are elected. So they're scrambling maybe to fix that language. But I also think that we're already down the path where we want to have the hybrid meeting. So even if it loosens things up, what I think that might do is allow us a little more flexibility in the forum. But I think we might still pursue the hybrid approach, because a lot of people want to be in person and then some people don't. Okay, Teresa, do you have anything about that?
No, I think I'm just waiting like everyone else to find out what the state legislature is going to do, and if they're going to allow for an additional month neighborhood councils to remain virtual. And that would give many of the other neighborhood councils who are not as prepared as we are to continue to meet. I'm sure once a decision has been made, or as it gets closer to the March 1st date, Greg will send out an email to let everybody know what exactly we're doing. But we are ready at the South Seas House for hybrid meetings. So we're ready to go.
Right. And I did hear at the Saturday's meeting of Plan Check NC, which is the coalition of planning and zoning club chairs from neighborhood councils. Pooja, you should join. But in any case, apparently the new city attorney, Heidi, has found some sort of quote loophole that already would allow this to happen until April. But I don't know. I mean, I feel if we are able to start doing it, reason not to. But that was sort of what was discussed at Plan Check LA.
Great. So
Pooja has her hand up.
oh, Pooja.
Sorry, I just for my own sake, because I serve on the Delray Neighborhood Council. How have you gotten hybrid working? Because we've not been able to crack that code.
We bought it. Teresa will tell you.
Teresa was at the forefront of that.
We approved our budget for it, but we were told it's not possible.
Guess what? We're defiant. We're a good neighborhood council, but we're defiant.
We're defiant. Oh, is that what Laura said?
And then-
Yes, we are.
That's all. So all I need to do is make sure that we're defiant.
Well, maybe not.
Well,
This is
We-
excellent. You just given me power. Thank
So,
you.
yeah, so you guys should hook up. We got the same response from the citywide, one of the citywide Dunn Department of Neighborhood Empowerment coordinators. We got a whole presentation on how we're going to do this and how the camera tracks is there. And he goes, where did you guys find this? I'm like, oh my God, why is this our responsibility to make neighborhood councils work? So anyway, we did it. And so Teresa, if, I'm not sure why we can.
Well, Teresa could explain what the technology is.
Well, I'll just do it very quickly. So I took some Zoom webinars. I went to Zoom, I'm kind of the Zoom person for the neighborhood council. And they had several webinars on hybrid meetings, and they presented different technologies for virtual conferencing. And I found one that was compatible for the South Seas House, which is for between 12 to 15 people. It's called the Polycom Studio. It's like a sound bar. It has AI technology that follows the members at the conference room table. It restricts the audio to just those in the current vicinity. And through the help of the West Adams Avenues, we purchased that. It came to about $800. And then the neighborhood council provided, there's a television there. It's an older model, and that's how we were able to run the test. But the neighborhood council provided funding to get a large television, a cabinet to store it in, because the facility is also used for activities for children. I mean, it is a rec facility. We also purchased a computer that's attached to the television and the AI system, which is a plug and play, so it's very user friendly. And now what our plan is to allow the chair people to come in and be able to log into the Zoom meetings and log in to stream, because we also stream our meetings directly to YouTube, and conduct the meetings for the community, the virtual community members, and also in person. So that's kind of how we worked it out.
Thank you. I will not hijack your meeting, but I will try and get some folks to get in touch with you.
Certainly, I'm totally open to talking to anybody about it.
Thank you so much.
Teresa, if you're so inclined, if you want to share your UNNC email
Certainly.
on the chat, that'd be great.
Well, and the thing is, this is Laura again. The thing is that what we learned in these 3 years is that, especially for land use committees or HPOZ boards, the plan, the rendering, so much easier to share them on the screen so everyone can see them. Because in the past, before the whole lockdown, we would be at the South Seas House, but the plans would be laid out on a table and everybody would crowd together and look down and try to understand what they were looking at, and do it fast because we had to move to the next sheet. So, just that alone argues in favor of having hybrid kind of meeting.
There's so many arguments for, and then we have the Brown Act. So it's like, hopefully the legislature will make some hay. I'm so glad that someone sounded the alarm in Sacramento that neighborhood councils would die, literally. I was at our last governing board meeting saying we're not going to survive having to get an in-person quorum, and then who gets to be there and who doesn't get to be there.
Right.
Because
And what happens if at the last minute, like I am tonight, you're sick? I mean,
Whatever.
I would have been expecting for quorum and I'm sick.
I mean, this seems quaint, but I don't know how we did it before, but
Yeah.
so much happier this way. Get to sit in my own, and we get to, again, I think we're more effective and we get better participation. Okay, well, thank you for that, Laura. Laura, you have to recuse yourself from the next. I'm going to keep it as short as I possibly
You know,
can.
I'm in bed, so I'm just gonna turn off my mic.
So I will, yeah, so if you want, yeah, so, okay, so the next item is our favorite, I'm going to try to be non-opinionated on this. 1848 South Gramercy, which we've seen probably about 20 times at this committee and the governing board. They indeed submitted new plans to the city recently. And if you can believe it, let's all believe it, they added a floor, 8 floors, same number of units. And so, and I tell you, I've looked at the plans, I've studied them, all the same issues that were there before that UNNC was opposed to still exist. Nothing was addressed as far as the incentives, except for one. And that is what they heard was we would have more interest in having community space on whatever that is, would, you know, a place for the building to gather. So in response to that, and this is, I'm trying not to be cynical, they added a floor. They added 3 unit-sized rooms that are officially open space. And then they added 3 unit-sized other spaces like a childcare center and a conference room. And all these things are exactly the size of a unit. They have a bathroom that's a unit bathroom. And what this all says to me is that, yes, they've given 3 spaces for open space, which will be official open space. And this is conjecture. This is me, John Arnold, talking, but I've read the plans, I'm trying to make sense of them. And so they added 3 spaces, but then they have 3 other spaces which they can legally make into ADUs at a future date. So basically what they're doing is providing knocked out units that they're calling something else in the plan, not officially, they're just giving it a name, and they can get 3 more units. So they'll get 36 units and an extra floor, all legally, et cetera, but nothing else has changed. So we've already had a position, we're opposed to it for all the reasons that we said. All those reasons still exist. And I don't think we need to do anything but allow one of us to show up, and this is all for the governing board to decide. But I think for one of us to show up at the City Planning Commission, affirm our position that nothing has changed. In fact, for all intents and purposes, one of the things we were opposed to is the height, and they've added another floor to it. So this still remains, and I'm going to paraphrase our own letter. This is not me talking. This is a very egregious building being put on a residential street in our neighborhood. This doesn't even fold into building on boulevards because off of Washington Boulevard. So anyway, I can share it. Let me just show you real quick. I really don't think we need to belabor. I'm just so over this, spending my time talking.
I do have a quick question, John.
Yeah, so here's the new project. It has another floor. You can see it looks the same. You know, 8 floors, 7 floors, 9 floors. What's the difference does it make? So Teresa, a question.
Yes, so at the last CPC hearing, there was a development that had been before the commission several times, and they were unable to resolve the issues. So it passed as presented because it had been the 5th time. And I know this project has been before the CPC, and I know they delayed, and now this group has increased, added additional floor. Nothing has, in my opinion, nothing but more negative things have transpired, but how many times has this been before the CPC? And is there a possibility that by default, that it will be approved?
No, because that only applies to density bonus projects. This is not a density bonus project. This is a TOC project.
Okay.
So, oh, wait. Oh my God, am I wrong? No, it is a density bonus project. I'm sorry. So yes and no, it's been delayed. I'm sorry, I get them mixed up. This is a density bonus project. The past couple of times it's been delayed, it's been the owner's choice to move to continue it. So I don't think that's on the city. My personal opinion, this is my opinion. So I'm sorry, what I described, see this co-working space?
Yes.
That's what, so that's not official. That's not an open space. That's not a community room. So, and ADUs, I'm not sure how many ADUs they're allowed, but in the future, they can convert this to another unit. This conference room, ditto, they can just, it's easily, you can see all the shear wall. These are shear walls that have to go up and down the building. It's easily changeable. I know what developers do, and I'm not being cynical. This is conjecture. I own that. It's conjecture, but to me, that's taking more advantage to get more units and get the extra floor. So nothing was listened to, nothing was changed for to respond to what we were asking for, except they did provide on a few floors right here. This rec room is official open space, so that has to stay a rec room because that's officially declared as open space. So, and they have increased their open space for the project. So that's debatable. I mean, that is a positive, but this business center is not part of the open space. This rec room is open space. Clubhouse is not. So you can see, and this rec room is open space. So you can see they have a potential to add 1, 2, 3, 4 units in this stack. And I think that's legal by state law. And state law actually allows them to roll it into this current permit. Why they aren't doing that and why they're playing this game of calling it co-working space, I don't know. Sorry to call it a game. That's conjecture. But it's like, they're allowed. So it's a, to me, then my recommendation to the committee, if we so choose, is to recommend that we affirm our current letter and that any changes that have been made have not addressed we can make this, maybe this is a motion to, any changes that have been made have not addressed our concerns. And maybe we make an opinion just so we can affirm it. I think we just affirm, otherwise we don't have to rewrite the letter. So that's what I would say, just affirm.
Okay, I agree. I would like to make the motion that we affirm the current letter as presented.
Yep. And then we recommend that someone from UNNC present at the CPC our letter again. We've done it 3 or 4 times before.
Yes, I agree. I second. Did I make that motion?
You made that motion. Anyone
Okay.
want to make a second on that? Donna?
I'll second.
Thank you, Donna. All those in favor, voting members, aye.
I think that was Dolores, but
No, that was Donna.
oh,
That was Donna. Who's a voting member?
Me, you, Teresa, and Dolores. And Laura's recused.
Oh, okay.
Aye.
I,
Dolores, do you have an opinion?
No.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that's 3 ayes, 1 abstain, and motion passes. So we'll do that. So that's that, and I will be happy to represent us pending my availability. I've gotten that affirmation down. It takes me about 2 minutes. I don't stress about it. I know exactly what's happening. So anyway, that's what's happening in the realm of planning and zoning. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over. If we can text Laura. Laura, if you have a vague, Laura, you can come back. Okay. Go. You're on mute.
I'll try to get her on the
Okay.
phone.
So I'm going to hand the gavel. I have a very early flight tomorrow. I'm going to hand the gavel over to, I think I can hand it to Teresa or Laura to talk about the final 2 items that we have on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, thank
Are
you.
you-
Okay, have a great meeting, everybody. I'll see you next
Bye.
time. Yeah,
Good
bye-bye.
night. Are you good, Laura? Or would you like for me to do anything?
Let's have, do you have the ability to share the screen on that not the oil drilling thing? I can do that if you don't know.
I'm pulling it up now. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. So I
Okay.
have the document that was in the Google Drive up now.
Okay, so basically, just to bring everybody up to speed, the city council voted to essentially end oil drilling, oil extraction activities in the city of Los Angeles. There's a time period during which it just goes downward. But the oil companies are saying that the language of the ordinance wasn't very clear as to what of their activities would be maintain an oil well versus drill a new oil well. So the zoning administrator has issued what's called a ZAI, zoning administrator's interpretation, to say this is what I think, I the zoning administrator, would constitute maintenance of oil drilling. Now, Chris was supposed to come tonight, one of our co-chairs for the oil drilling subcommittee, and I see she is not here. So I don't know if we want to have a full discussion. I do not know that this was just sent to us, that it was dated in mid-January. I do not know if a ZAI is appealable, and nor do I know who might appeal it. So, but essentially, this document that's in our packet defines what kinds of permits or activities oil drilling companies can do during the period of aiming towards ending all oil drilling by, I think, 2035. And that's what it is. It's really just an update. So they left it open when they did the ordinance. You know, they didn't define it. So these are the definitions. And yes, it's effective after February 1. So that's of interest. So I will say we did not receive them until the this week. ENS, the thing that the city planning department sends out to neighborhood councils. And I haven't noticed that. So the effective date was February 1, but they sent this out on Sunday this week. So the neighborhood councils weren't notified in advance at all. So I don't know that we would have appealed, because neighborhood councils can appeal, but that's what this document. I'm not going to be able to answer a lot of questions. And then are there any questions? The other item, and Dolores brought this to our attention, but I have
Yeah, hold on a second, Laura. I do have a question.
Sure.
If they just now sent the document to us, but the filing date for an appeal or whatever it's supposed to do is February the 1st, then there's nothing that can be done about it, right?
Well, yes, that is correct. Unless somebody were to file a appeal, and it wouldn't be us. No, I mean, it's, you know, the only thing to do is complain, because you really should be distributing this stuff before the expiration of a appeal period. But I don't
Well,
think-
I think we should complain then. Do we want to complain?
I mean, we could draft a one-page letter and let the governing board approve it on March 2nd.
But
What do you
are
think?
we complaining just because they did not get the document to us in time, or are we complaining that we disagree with the findings?
I don't think I know enough to disagree or agree with the findings. I think
My concern is they're sending this out to us for us to peruse it and possibly have an opinion, but they send it to us past the deadline date. So that's my concern. I don't agree or disagree with the findings. It's the procedure that I disagree with.
and I agree with that. I mean, it does seem that we could write just a little note on letterhead, but we'd have to have that approved by the governing board. So would this committee want us to put that on the agenda for governing board?
Would it do any good?
No. Oh, no,
Well-
they're very arrogant. They do what they want.
So why bother then? It's not a biggie, is it? Unless something big comes along later on down the pike and they do the same thing.
It's a biggie if you're an oil company or possibly if you live next door to a drill site. Since I didn't really read it thoroughly, I don't know if they're going to continue to allow activities that would have noxious results, or if they're not going to allow activities that would allow an active oil well to continue to produce. And so
Would you be opposed to writing a letter?
Why don't you make a motion, Dolores?
I want her to agree to write the letter first.
I can write a letter, yes.
All right, then I move that we send a letter to the department with a concern of sending out notifications after their deadline dates, or however you want to phrase it better.
Okay,
In a timely manner.
I would second
Yeah.
that. Am I allowed to second since I'm chairing at the moment? Oh, no.
I second.
Okay, who calls the question?
Call the question. I'm chairing. I'm not doing a great job of chairing, losing my computer too, but I'm chairing. So let's all vote, please. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
And Donna has her hand raised.
Motion passes.
All
Okay.
right.
And then the other item still on our agenda is after the public hearing, we had a request to bring this back for consideration, it being the ordinance proposing a transition to permanent al fresco dining, in other words, outdoor dining. And I did go to the public hearing, and one restaurant owner or industry person after another testified 2 hours and counting that everything they're proposing is just both bureaucratically and financially too high of a barrier, that it is not really going to help retain the outdoor dining, it's going to harm it. And now it may be that hyperbole was because the LA Times did a big story reflecting that opinion, that it would essentially put outdoor dining out of business. But there definitely was a lot of negative comments from restaurant owners or industry workers. One of the things that they brought up is, you're right about it now. So on this page, the restaurants that serve alcohol, beer and wine, or even a full bar, have to get a conditional use permit. So under normal circumstances, pre-COVID, they would draw a drawing and show how many tables and how many chairs they have and what the configuration would be and where they would be serving alcohol, and in some cases where they would not be serving alcohol. And so they have those conditional use permits. There's a new program that kind of came into effect during COVID, probably not much utilized, called the restaurant beverage program. But it would be the same thing where you draw a drawing. So when COVID hit and everything first shut down and then reopened, the city allowed the restaurants to ignore the drawings and just serve alcohol on their new outdoor pavilions or on the sidewalk or in the park lot. And what this ordinance is doing is pulling it back in and making them, if you're going to serve it outside, apply for a new either conditional use permit or the beverage thing. So that's an expense. One's more expensive than the other, but each way it's an expensive process and it's quite long. So they were asking, a lot of the people testifying were asking for that not to happen, just kind of be fast and loosey-goosey, just what they have developed over time. I don't know. So that was one thing. And the other thing was the definition of open, because quite a number in the winter of these open restaurant spaces end up covered in plastic, so they become closed instead of open. So in the summer it goes back to open. Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion about that. But we have essentially only voted to support the program, and with our own caveat of we want the departments to work together instead of there being all these multiple processes, permitting processes. And I did get to testify to that. But again, we were requested to bring it back to do a little more, do a review and see if we wanted to add some more caveats. The final day for written comments is Friday, March 3rd, which is the day after our board meeting. So if we wanted to add anything, it would be a recommendation from us, right? Or the meeting on March 1st or the March 2nd board meeting. The question becomes, what do we want to do? And do John and I need to pursue this, right? Because we'd have to be written out for governing, at a time of governing. So let's have your hand up.
Yeah. I raised this issue with the board because I saw it on the news, and the restaurant owners were up in arms about it. And then I looked it up. I didn't read the whole thing, but when I looked it up, I thought that I saw something about a permit for $40,000 and a this and a that. And I just thought that was a little extreme, because a lot of the restaurants owners lost their business during the pandemic. And then the city allowed them to, or pushed them into having eating outside, because of the COVID and the air and the this and the that. And now it seems like now that the city and the county or whatever is kind of acting as if COVID is over, but it's not really. They want to go back to the status quo. Well, the restaurants are just beginning to recover from so much loss of the business, and to put these high-priced cost of the permits on them, I just thought was out of line. And so that's why I raised it. Is this something that we want to weigh in on?
Well, I think we can. I think we can amend with our original position to add everything you just said, which I hope has been captured in one of the transcripts, so there's only some editing instead of writing. I mean, we have, I'm hoping it is in the caption. We can do that. I just, in other words, the original sessions I went to were not populated by restaurant owners. They were more populated by neighborhood council activists. And so I was hearing a different perspective, where people were supportive and their questions had more to do with things like, will there be ADA access? Are the sidewalks really not going to be blocked? Will the trees survive? But there wasn't a lot of discussion about this proposal and how the bureaucracy and the money would affect the restaurant. Now that I've heard that, I think we should amend our position to say what you just said, that this city, well, what was one of the things that was said at the hearing was this city has become known as a place for wonderful restaurants, foodies flock here, and we should be doing everything we can to support one of our major, I don't want to say industries, but one of our major travel and tourist and that kind of ambiance for the city. And this is sort of taking things away from that, not being supportive of restaurant owners. And I do think it's kind of, this wouldn't be the right word, but why does a conditional use permit need to be reapplied for because your table configuration is changing, where you're gonna be outdoors. I mean, it would be important to make sure that on this application, a restaurant owner can attest that they're not gonna have loud music, they're not gonna disturb the community, and agree that they could lose their conditional use permit if they violate those terms. But that's just an attestment, it's not another $40,000 application, and you have to hire someone to expedite your case, and you have to do all these plans. So I do think that this is kind of the city getting nutty. Having said, certainly there is one restaurant that's violating its conditional use permit and have music outdoors and the patio, and it's very loud. But in our community now, and not the one on the former Taco Q Taco. But anyway, so if you want to, I think we could just bring it forward with Dolores, what you said, pretty much. Did we lose?
Okay. So what do we need?
I can't tell. I'm in.
So what do I do a motion or what?
Why don't we just do a motion to amend and refile our statement on the alfresco program to continue to support the program, to continue to urge the city departments to work closely together, but in addition to recognize that the purpose is not to create more burdens for the restaurant owners. And we'd like the ordinance to be less burden. I can't pronounce it. Burden. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
I second that motion.
And Dolores made it? Question mark. Or did I make it? It doesn't matter. But anyway, so that's the motion. And we can take it to governing board with a revised letter because it was already one.
Yeah.
So, and then when I file it, it's filed as an update and revision.
Okay.
Shall we vote? There's 4 of us here.
Yes, let's just go ahead and call the vote.
All in favor?
Where's my
Yeah.
reaction?
And
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
all right. And there's nothing else on this agenda. We can adjourn.
Nope. So you said we're adjourned. Did I hear
We
that?
can adjourn. I see
Oh.
Donna's hand is still up, so I don't want to
Oh.
adjourn on her raised hand. Did you have anything? Yep. We can adjourn unless somebody else says something to end.
I say we adjourn unless it's something big.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.